Hey guys, in this instalment of my scientific principles of strength training, I'm going to be discussing fatigue management. So what is fatigue management? Fatigue management is basically how you plan to deal with and overcome the stress which you place on your body from training. So there's many areas within fatigue management which we need to look at. So firstly, let's look at, like, in relation to like the stimulus response adaptation. We kind of look at the muscle protein synthesis uptime of an exercise. So in regards to the muscle, within 48 hours of completing the exercise, you've basically got, like, muscle protein synthesis drops back down and you stop making adaptations to that muscularly. So basically within 48 hours your body, the muscles of the movement will be prepared to perform the movement again. So it doesn't really work out as simple as that in the real world, because there's other things coming in, like fatigue of your central nervous system and peripheral nervous system, more importantly, and also connective tissue. So we've covered the like muscularly, the muscle protein synthesis uptime. So the muscle's basically recovered in that amount of time. However, long-term training, and like say like when you're peaking for a competition, fatigue management becomes really important, because if you reduce the fatigue, like in essence, fatigue masks fitness. So the more fatigued you are, the lower your overall performance is going to be, even if you've actually gained strength. So to actually be able to display the strength that you've gained, you need to drop off volume and basically make your training easier and deal with fatigue better, so you can perform better on the day on the platform or in your sporting event. Additionally, fatigue management is important in everyday training and day-to-day training, even if you don't compete or if you do compete in your off-season. Like, fatigue management is still important in regards to, like, preventing injuries. Like, if you're entering, like, non-functional overreaching, you're basically putting yourself at more of a risk of being injured during training. And if you can keep into that if you go like overreach and you can keep into that functional overreaching area, or just adapt like some training programs, like, so for example like Westside and a lot of Western training methodologies, you're fully recovering between each session, so there's no actual like accumulated fatigue over time. But a lot of the Eastern Bloc programs and like Russian programs and things like that, a lot more higher volume and higher frequency programs, like there's actually an accumulation of fatigue over time and then dropping it off. So ways we can deal with fatigue then. The field of fatigue management in sports science is actually quite big. There's lots of different things about it. Lots of different methods athletes use and sports teams use to help them manage their fatigue. Most of the research on half of them is like quite sketchy, like ice baths and stuff like that. There's not really, like, there is evidence, but it's not really fully conclusive whether they work or not. And as you've seen recently in the Olympics with the cupping thing, using the like Eastern medicine suction cups on someone's back to help recovery, like, there's loads of questionable stuff like that. And athletes will basically do anything that they think will increase their recovery. So different methods we've got of doing that. So we've got exercise-based recovery methods, which are like performing an easier session after your main, like, say you do your main training session, the next day you might come in the gym and do like 20 or 30%, like really light, like active recovery methods. And then we've got like contrast water therapy and ice baths as well. So contrast water therapy is hot-cold, so using both methods, normally like 2 minutes in one, 2 minutes in the other. There's swap back over. There's loads of different protocols for that. You can find it all over on the internet. And then ice baths themselves, which is just a period in ice water, and there's no like hot-cold contrast. Then we've got stuff like massage and self-myofascial release. Like, self-myofascial release, I mean, there's quite a big body of evidence saying it can be effective, but the same thing with like the others, self-myofascial release and massage, there's not actually any massive body of evidence saying it's actually really effective for recovery. And then we've also got like Epsom salt baths. People use that kind of thing. I would like to add, on the other hand, like, there's not a massive body of evidence for a lot of these recovery methods. However, the simple psychological benefits of just actively doing something for your recovery might be enough to actually boost recovery through placebo. Like, just even if it just relaxes you and you think you're doing something for recovery, it might actually like help you. Because a lot of fatigue management is also like psychologically orientated. Like when you're getting fired, like if you say you train like on the nerve all the time, and you're getting fired up, smelling salts every session, like it's gonna take a wear on you, and you get a lot more fatigued, you just end up a lot more fatigued by training, like getting psychologically fired up as well. So any like relaxation in itself can be a great benefit as well. As I said earlier, with the programming wise, like so a lot of the Western programs kind of recover from session to session, and a lot of the Eastern Bloc have like an accumulation of fatigue and then a drop of fatigue at the end, like a deload. I mean, everyone, like whatever training methodology you use, like deloading for a powerlifting meet, say, like fatigue management is basically the whole point of a deload. Within programs, there also needs to be some sort of built-in deloading mechanism. So like you can't train flat out all year round, or just like train flat out until you meet. Like there has to be a built-in like deload. So you see, like on Wendler's 531, every 4th week is a deload week. I mean, that could be a bit excessive, and like recently Wendler's talked about beyond 531 only doing it every like. So you do 6 weeks, then a deload, 6 weeks, then a deload, rather than 3. Which I think personally is probably a bit more effective. Like, you don't want to spend 25% of your year deloading. You're missing 25% of your training time. But deloading is, however, important. It needs to be taken into account. Like, that's probably one extreme of deloading every 4th week. So a 3-week train, deload. Then the other extreme of that is like the Bulgarian system. Like where they just squat every day, maybe have Sundays off every week. There's no planned deload, it's just all year round squat to max. And like as far as programs go, like that's like one end of fatigue management where basically it isn't really taken into account much. And then on 531, on the original version of 531, it's kind of taken too far and over recovery. So you're like you're only squatting 3 times and then deloading, deadlifting. You're only doing each lift 3 times and then deloading, so you're wasting quite a lot of time in that kind of method. I mean, it's a great program, I'm not going to knock it, but that's just one of the criticisms I have of it. That's all for today, guys. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Please like this video and please subscribe. Peace out.